Hello, ma. Hello. Hello.
Hello, good evening.
Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
You can hear me
I
clearly,
just
ma.
joined very, very clear. Very, very clear.
Okay, thank you, ma. All right, ma. All right. Can you hear me too? Good evening, ma.
Good evening.
Can I go on with the presentation, ma?
Your voice is loud and clear. Madam
Okay.
Ozezele, how are you? Yeah, it's in presentation mode. That's okay.
I'm
And
fine,
your
thank
voice
you,
is
ma.
loud and clear.
Good evening, ma.
All right. Good evening. Good evening, ma'ams. Thank you for coming to class early. So, uh, Madam Olajide Taiwo was already in class sharing by the time I joined. So that's a good one. We are not going to wait for others. We'll start off because you have 40 minutes for your presentation. So you have the class. They will join
Okay.
us.
All right, ma. So good evening, ma, once again. Good evening, colleagues. The topic of my presentation is economics of agricultural processing. under the course Advanced Agribusiness Management. The presentation will be done by me, and my name is Olajide Taiwo Oluwaseri. The lecturer in charge of this course is Dr. Olubumi Alawode. Here's a table of contents for the presentation. So I'll be starting from the introduction. Agricultural processing is a transformation of raw agricultural products into different. I'm sorry, ma, to take this thing off on screen. Okay, now. Agricultural processing is a transformation of raw agricultural products into different forms. It involves cleaning, sorting, drying, packaging, etc., to create usable goods for food, feed, and other industrial purposes. Agricultural processing includes a wide range of activities from simple post-harvest handling to complex manufacturing, aiming to improve the quality and to increase the economic value and to extend the shelf life of the agricultural produce. Example of agricultural processing is the production of fruit juice from fruits, then flour from wheat or maybe cassava, then cereal like cornflakes, golden morn from grains. Economics, in the other hand, is the study of how individuals, businesses, societies make choice to allocate scarce resources. So economics of agricultural processing is the application of economic principles to the production, distribution, consumption of processed foods and other agricultural produce. Economics of agricultural processing examine how to optimize the use of scarce resources, e.g. the land, labor, and capital, in order to maximize profits and output. It focuses on the supply chain risk and sustainability too. It also helps in decision making for individual farms and for entire agricultural economy. It basically involves the application of economic principles to maximize production efficiency, profitability, and sustainability. When thinking of agricultural processing or manufacturing any product under agricultural production, you have to put these 5 P's in mind. These are the 5 P's of manufacturing or agricultural business. This is the secret of every modern manufacturing and processing. They are the levers every manufacturer or processor pulls together to turn raw materials to finished goods with consistent quality and scale. The 5 P's are people, process, products, plants, and planning. So when we talk about people, people are those who run the machines. They make decisions. They create workforce or work team. It is said that companies that invest in workforce development, they see up to 25% higher productivity. Then the process. Process is where the manufacturer sets the rules, or maybe the processor sets the rules or draw the methodology, whether it is casing, lean, or ISO standard. Consistent smart process make it possible to replicate success or mistakes. Products. This is the star of the show. If there's no demand or if the product doesn't solve any real need or problem, everything collapses. The product speaks quality, it speaks the design, and it speaks the innovation of the producer or maybe the processor or manufacturer. Then the plants. This represents the physical settings, the infrastructure, the equipment, all machineries needed for operation. Then the last one, which is planning. This involves the production, forecasting, rescheduling logistics. Without strong and proper planning, you will end up stockhouse or worse. I'll be moving to the key factors of agricultural production and processing. Under the key factors of agricultural production and processing, we have land, we have labor, we have capital, and we have enterprise. So talking about land includes all natural resources used in production of agricultural produce, such as soil, water, and minerals. Effective management of land ensures sustainable use of resources. Then labor, refers to the human efforts used in production and processing of agricultural produce. This includes the physical and the intellectual work. The skilled labor can significantly impact productivity and efficiency. Capital includes, I'm talking about capital now. Capital includes the man-made resources used in production and processing of agricultural produce, such as machinery, tools, buildings, infrastructures. Then capital, we have two types of capital. We have the fixed capital and we have the working capital. Fixed capital, this is a kind of real physical asset that is used repeatedly in the production of a product. The fixed capital are long-term assets. Example includes tractors, machineries, infrastructures generally, buildings. Then when we talk about the working capital, this is the capital a business needs to maintain its daily operations. They are short-term assets. It could be seed, it could be fertilizers, it could be fuel, etc. The last one under the factors of agricultural production and processing is entrepreneurship. Entrepreneurship involves the ability to organize the factors of production and processing and take on the risk of starting and managing a business. Agricultural entrepreneurs, they make strategic decisions, innovate and adapt to changing market conditions in order to ensure the success of farms and agribusiness. The interrelationship among all these factors of agricultural processing, we have the synergy and we have the substitution. The synergy is the harmonious combination of all these factors: the land, the labor, capital, and entrepreneurship. For instance, good land requires skilled labor to cultivate it, appropriate capital for mechanized operations, and entrepreneurial vision in order to manage and grow the business. Then when we talk about substitution, one factor can be substituted for another. For example, labor can be substituted for machinery, which is a capital, in order to achieve the same production goal. Let's move to the economic significance of agricultural processing. Agricultural processing adds value to agricultural produce. So let's start from the value addition. This involves transforming raw materials to finished products, making it more acceptable and more valuable. Agricultural processing creates employment. Agricultural processing sector involves activities like canning, drying, milling, etc., thereby creating jobs for the unemployed in both the rural and the semi-urban areas. Then rural development. Situating an agricultural processing unit in a rural area stimulates economic activity beyond the farm, hereby reducing the rural to urban migration by creating more opportunities and sustainable livelihood in the rural area. Another significance is the food security. Processing foods to reduce food wastage by preserving perishable goods, hereby ensures stable food supply all year round. Then the international trade. Agricultural processing improve export values of raw commodities, hereby improving the foreign exchange earnings. Then intersectoral linkage. Agricultural processing industry, they provide raw materials for a wide range of manufacturing sectors, including the food industry, the textile industry, the pharmaceutical industry, cosmetic industry, paper industry, etc., hereby creating a symbiotic relationship between the agricultural sector and other manufacturing industries. We want to move on to the economic principles associated with agricultural processing. We have the cost principle. This examines the action of cost and income in the production process for a given agricultural enterprise. That is the cost of inputs, the factor price in relation to the price of output in the production process. An agribusiness cost is classified into two. We have the fixed cost and we have the variable cost. The fixed costs do not change with changes observed in the level of output. But the variable cost, they are the cost incurred by the agribusiness manager. As the level of output changes, the costs do not occur if there is no production. Both are important in making management decisions. If an agribusiness can afford its variable cost, it can still run for a short run. But at the long run, it will need to cover the fixed capital to both costs. So if the business run and is covering the variable cost and the fixed cost, then it is said that it is in line with the law of Law of cost principle. Another principle is the total cost concept. Three costs, three concepts of total cost are essential for the analysis of agricultural processing firm's cost structure in the short run. We have the total fixed cost, the total variable cost, and the total cost. The total fixed cost is the sum of the quantities of the fixed inputs multiplied by the associated price in the short run. The level of total fixed cost is constant in total, regardless of the changes in the activities, while the total variable cost is the sum of the amount the firm spend for each of the variable inputs used in production process. It varies in total in direct proportion to the changes in activities, e.g., gasoline depends on, it depends, gasoline expense depends on the mileage driven. The total cost is the total cost of a given level of output in a short run. It is the sum of the total variable cost and the total fixed cost. So the TC, which is the total cost, equals total variable cost plus total fixed cost. The next principle is the unit cost concept. There are four major unit cost concepts: the average fixed cost, the average variable cost, the average total cost, and the marginal cost. Average fixed cost is defined as the total fixed cost divided by the unit of output. That is, AFC equals TFC over the quantity of output. Since fixed cost is a constant amount, average fixed cost declines continuously as the rate of production increases. Reduction in the average fixed cost by producing more units is what business people commonly call spreading overhead. Average total cost is defined as the total cost divided by the corresponding unit of output. That is, ATC equals TC over Q, where TC equals the total fixed cost plus total variable cost. Then the marginal cost. Marginal cost is the cost of producing an additional unit of output. It is the change in the total variables associated with a unit change in output. This is because total cost changes while total fixed cost remain the same. It can also be described as a rate of change in total cost as the quantity of output changes. It's simply the first derivation of total cost function. That is, marginal cost equals total cost over the quantity or the units of output. Principles of diminishing returns. These have a special application in agribusiness management. It states if you continue to add more or variable inputs into a fixed factor, the total product will first of all increase at an increasing rate, then at decreasing rate, and thereafter start to decline as it reaches its maximum. The principle guides the efficient allocation of resources in that as more resources are added, more yield are expected to a certain level in the production process. That is, if the resources are constantly added, it reaches a point where the output decreases. The action of decreasing wastage makes us to realize the proper way to utilize limited resources. The next principle is the opportunity cost principle. It is also known as marginal return principle. These principles underline the basic economic problem of scarcity and choice. It is relevant to the behavior of the agribusiness manager, the individual consumer, and the government. The agribusiness manager is faced with scarcity of resources, so he is also involved in making choice. So the concept guides the processor in deciding how best to use the available productive resources in his agricultural processing business. To him, the principle of opportunity cost states that profit will be greater if each unit of labor, capital, and land is used where it will add most value in return. So it is clever when the choice of enterprise goes towards profitability with added returns when the capital and other resources are limited. The principle of substitution in choice of practice. The processor considers better competing variance in his agribusiness practice. That is, he considers two types of resources that can be used in producing a given output. Then he decides which is more profitable and which has equally minimal cost of production. Processor is always aiming at making the highest possible profit. must try as much as possible to minimize production costs. The last principle is the principle of valuation and depreciation. Valuation is a process of adding value to something. It's a way of rating and estimating the worth of a resource. Agribusiness valuation is the process of attaching a price to a given asset like building, machinery, tools, work tools, stored products, and all other valuable products or properties within a given agribusiness. To set the true firm profit, changes in the value of the farm assets and liabilities should be included in the agribusiness and should be valued at the beginning and at the end of every accounting period, usually within a year. So the valuation taken at the beginning of the operation is called the opening valuation. Then the one taken at the end of the accounting year is the closing valuation. Implications of economics of agricultural processing. We have economic growth. Agricultural processing is a key part of economic development as it creates value-added products and generates income, e.g., beverages from cocoa, textile from cotton, doors from timbers. So, application of economics in agricultural processing will bring economic growth. Then it could actually bring technological change too. So, an agricultural processor, if the processor is used to the traditional method, in the heart of production, it might think that it is necessary to change their production technique. So agricultural processing can bring about technological change. Innovation in processing technology can lead to increase in production efficiency and discovery of new products. Then food and environmental policies. So economies of agricultural processing can be linked to government policies related to food production, trade, and environmental sustainability. Case study 1. Farm Pride. Farm Pride is a juice company and is a subsidiary of New Year Food Drinks and Company and a New Year Farm Group, Nigeria Limited. It is located in Kaduna. The company added value to fresh food by processing fruits to fruit juice, thereby increasing the economic value and extending the shelf life of fruits. In order to reduce the supply chain efficiency risk, they source their raw materials from local farmers and they also engage in backward integration, the production of different fruits in Near Farm Group. The company creates employment directly and indirectly. Application of economic principles in this agricultural processing firm help them to make the best economic decisions, like the choice of fruit to process, then the unit price of their products, the valuation of the business. Then it helps them to determine the number of staffs needed for efficient production and for profit maximization. Case study 2 is Dangote Sugar Refinery. Dangote Sugar Refinery is a subsidiary of Dangote Industries Limited. This company started by refining and marketing sugar. The company imports sugar, fortifies it with vitamin A, fortified white sugar, and they sell the finished product across Nigeria. But recently, the company developed and started implementing the Sugar for Nigeria project, which is a backward integration project, hereby creating employment opportunities directly or indirectly. Dangote Sugar refines sugar from locally grown sugarcane from integrated sugar sites across Nigeria to sell to local markets and to export to other markets across West Africa. Their warehouse location across the country optimizes the supply chain opportunities, being close to the market with very fast and reliable delivery services. Economic principles guide this management to combine factors of production optimally. It also explains why the company has to engage in backward integration master plan in order to expand production capacity and to improve efficiency by addressing the constraint reported in their 2020 sustainability report. The third case study is the Zatec Farms. Zatec Farms is a poultry production company. It is based in Ibadan. The company adopts economic principle by adding value to poultry production and thereby maximizing the profit. The company specializes in production and processing of a variety of poultry and beef products, to frozen chicken and to beef processed products like sausage and nuggets. The company has production, distribution, sales, and retail units across the country. The company focuses on poultry production and meat processing, so to provide affordable protein products for consumption. The application of economic cost principle enabled them to determine the unit price of each of their products produced in the company. The case study 4 I have here is the Nestle company. This is a multinational food and drink processing company. It is one of the world's biggest food company and a beverage company. They have operational factories in nearly every country in the world. Nestle Nigeria is one of the largest subsidiaries, is one of their largest subsidiaries. They've grown to produce products like chocolate, coffee, cereal, and other products. They continue to expand to include pet food and pharmaceutical products and cosmetics. Nestle are low-cost operators. They produce low-cost products. This has given them upper hand on market competition and also benefits the consumers by providing affordable products yet high in quality. Nestle strategy is directed by several fundamental principles, such as innovation and renovation, which ensures that the existing products grow and it maintains its balance in the geographical market activity. Nestle priority is to bring the best and the relevant products to people wherever they are and whatever their need is throughout their lifetime. The composition and taste of their product differs from country to country due to raw materials availability, the logistic limitation, personal preference among different regions. The company's main business principle is based on decentralization. That is, the headquarters sets the overall strategy and ensures that it is carried out by each country, but each country are responsible for the running of each region. Each region manages the distribution of goods from the manufacturing to the local market, and also they manage the recruitment of staffs. What must be centralized should be, and decentralized, and what should be decentralized. Okay, what should be centralized should be, and decentralized what can be. Nestle believes that they should think about their organization globally, but interact and deal with people locally. Nestle source materials from production from local suppliers, to reduce production cost of importing production materials might be too high. So Nestle collaborates with local governments to provide technical assistance to farmers in planting and harvesting. The farmers get their income while the Nestle gets the raw materials for production from them. Challenges of agricultural processing faced by smallholder processors. Inadequate infrastructure. We all know that here in Nigeria, you have bad road, inconsistent power supply, insufficient storage, inadequate infrastructure. So all smallholders processors, they face inadequate infrastructure, and smallholders are still using same traditional method they use in processing agricultural produce. No advancements due to inadequate infrastructure. Then insecurity. We are all aware of the insecurity issues everywhere. Limited access to finance, no access to loan. They do not have access to loan. Then high cost of inputs. The high cost of fuel is an example. There's no how you want to run a machine that you won't need fuel. So the high cost of fuel can also affect a smallholder processor. Then the climate change, unpredictable climate can affect the harvest season, hereby affects the availability of raw materials for smallholder processors. Then poor management and low entrepreneurial skills. Most of the smallholder processors we have, they are not educated. They do not have the entrepreneurial skills. Some of them. Then the government policies also affect the smallholder processors. my recommendation. Nigeria economy has long been heavily dependent on agricultural sector, with agriculture playing a crucial role in providing food, generating employment, and contributing to the country's GDP over the past years. There is need for value addition through agricultural processing to reduce post-harvest wastage and increase the shelf life of farm produce. Opportunities exist in the food processor sector. Then, access to enough capital by agricultural processor will improve the productivity through mechanization and advanced technology. In conclusion, nothing falls into place by accident. If you do not know where you are going to, you will end up somewhere else. The importance of economics of agricultural processing cannot be overemphasized in agricultural business, as this helps the processor to identify the limited resources and then the way to allocate the resources for profitability. Also, the understanding of basic economic principles and the factor of production and processing is crucial for making decisions in agricultural processing. With effective management of land, labor, capital, and enterprise, processors can optimize production process, maximize their profits, and also contribute to the sustainable agricultural development. Here are my references. Thank you for listening.
Mm. Thank you, Madam Shi. Thank you, thank you, thank you. All right, class, let's interact with Madam Muluashi. Your experience about uh, agro-processing. Maybe you have worked with an enterprise that is involved in agro-processing before, or you have witnessed one issue or the other about it. Please, let's unmute our microphone. Just unmute your microphone so that I will know that you want to pass a comment or you want to raise a point. Let's do that. Let's interact with her on this presentation. Mr. Haron. Okay, please speak, sir. Hello, sir. I can see you have unmuted your microphone. Oh, like I can't hear Mr. Haron. Is it my own network? Okay. Madam Grace, can we listen to you?
All right. Good evening, ma. Good evening,
Good evening, ma.
everyone. And thank you, Madam Shei, for your presentation. Thanks a lot. I think my contribution will like to kind of touch some other area that I think have to be emphasized when we talk about the economics of agricultural processing in terms of its cost benefits importance, in terms of the market structure, in terms of profitability, and in terms of value chain deployment in agricultural activities. I think economics of agricultural processing will also touch about um, the importance in terms of which way is the best. Is it by processing the products into value-added products or by selling directly after production? Which one will be more profitable? I think it is worthy of checking the cost benefits of processing agricultural products into or adding value to agricultural products in terms of processing. Then another area is in terms of profitability, like profitability in the sense that it's how do I put it now? it helps the farmer to earn more money. Most of the time, the nature of weather condition of a particular place make products to be abundant in a particular season and be very scarce in another season. So when a farmer produce and decides to not to sell immediately after harvest because the product is currently abundant in the market, but transferring either saving it or processing it into something else, it also enhance the profit of the farmer and it enhance the availability of the product in the market. Then another area that we look at economics of agricultural processing is the fact that it is an easy entrance for entrepreneur. For example, young entrepreneur that do not have access to major resources for agricultural production in terms of land, capital, and the like, but it is easy for them to quickly buy a, a produce and add value to it and make income from that. So from just transforming it into one form into another. Most times require not too much capital if you have to start from the beginning, like planting, producing, and the likes. But taking it and adding value to it, make it an easy entrance for business opportunity. Then another angle I'm looking at it is the fact that it make the value chains of agricultural products to be complete in the sense that there is a producer that has produced, there is somebody that is taking it off from the farmer to add value to it. It also enhances the logistics of the product. You can easily move a processed product across different zone, across different area rather than the fresh produce. Then she mentioned also in terms of the reduction in post-harvest
Loss.
losses. So the cost benefit in all these areas, I think, needs to be touchlighted. For example, what cost was saved by virtue of transforming the product into fresh form, into value-added form that will have enhanced or increased the shelf life of the product. So those are some of the areas that I think economics of agricultural processing will also touches. And but I appreciate the presentation though, and the case study were actually very relevant. It make the work to be meaningful. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Grace. Thank you for this comment. Now, if we look at agricultural processing, the only thing left out is production. From processing, you are in the output sector. From processing to marketing, the supply chain, the value chain around that. The first thing I think is that processing agricultural produce should actually not be whether we are deciding to or not, especially for the kind of production activities that we still have in this part of the world, where we base more on weather. So this makes, like Madam Grace said, this makes some of this produce to be abundant at a time and to be very scarce at another time. Once you have abundance at a time and scarcity at another, it shows that any processing that can be done to make the produce available in its various products is welcome. At least even that social benefit is there already. Then apart from that, remember that most agricultural produce are perishable. And because they are, adding value to them, even at farm level. For example, if you have your maize and it is surplus at a time, when you look at the saving it in the warehouse, you do farm level processing, get it shelved, get it shelled, dry it to acceptable moisture level that will not make it to grow mold, and you save it. That is farm level processing. Even at that level, value has been added, because when you save it like that, We are not talking about risk management here, but it's still part of processing, because when you talk about processing now, it encompasses everything from processing even to marketing, so that all the marketing theories and marketing subtopics apply to it. Because once you have product, it is exposed to the market. Whether you are now running an oligopolistic market, we know that for products from agricultural produce, you are not likely to have a monopoly, but you can have monopolistic competition where each person can brand its own uh, product, even though there are more there are many producers, there are many marketers there, many processors there who market their produce, but you can brand your own, thereby adding greater value to yours in comparison to a competitor. So all other um uh marketing activities, they apply marketing principles, they apply to it once they become products. Now, it is normal in this part of the world to process, even in the developed world, because by that you make this produce available as products, and so you increase their shelf life. So whether we want to process or not is not a question. I think what the question is the extent of processing that will bring back the value, like Madam Grace said, the extent to which we'll process that will be acceptable and affordable. No, it might be acceptable but may not be affordable. Like there are some people, they process rice. The minimum processing by dystonia and all that was okay for the people to afford. But when they went further to polish the rice, they found that the people wanted it. But the only thing is that they could not pay for the extra value addition. They could not afford it. Not that they don't want to, but they couldn't afford it. So they now discover that if they sell it at that initial price, people were willing to buy. They were still willing to buy, but it wasn't affordable to them. So we should know the kind of market we are targeting and the extent to which our processing should take place. That is very important. Now, looking at the various costs, like she talked about, the fixed cost, the variable cost, then one thing that Madam Grace has talked about came out in the economic importance, the economic relevance of agricultural processing. And when we talked about agribusiness itself, we said that output sector employs large agribusiness outfits, those that use agricultural produce as their own raw materials, and very many retailers, very many wholesalers, aggregators. Remember that the supply chain of agricultural produce is different from the manufacturing, because for especially in this part of the world where you have uh, about at least two-thirds of the farming population who are semi-subsistence. So we rely on their marketable surplus. And since we rely on their marketable surplus, it shows that there must be aggregators. So the aggregators, they gather from different smallholder farmers, aggregate, and the wholesalers will now take over. That is a uniqueness about agricultural production in a developing world, and they are part of the supply chain, indispensable part of the supply chain, because you have to gather 1 kg here, 10 kg there, 100 there, 2 there, and so on and so forth, and sort them, grade them, and do all those activities. They are indispensable when it comes to agribusiness supply chain. They are indispensable. So those we gather together and now sell to the large processors, who will now buy those things based on their grades, their quality, and the quantity. So they will now buy and they will now process. And like she said, some do backward integration. What is the backward integration? They also produce part of what they process, so that they use the small scale farmers. That's what they can do. They also have their own farms, like in the case of one of the case studies that she talked about. So processing is is actually what brings up the what expanded agribusiness itself, is what brings value into agricultural production, because it is because of that that we are now able to talk about agribusiness developing an economy. It leads to economic growth. So it expanded the value chains of this produce, so that they are able to look at how long you can save gari if it is well fried. Look at how long you can save cassava flour, yam flour round the year if it is well done, if the moisture level is correct. But can you keep cassava like that? Can you keep yam like that for as long as you will keep those derivatives? No, no. Look at pando yam. Look at people that said, okay, if you want to stay natural, we'll create pots that will pound your natural yam. So and so forth. The value addition to agricultural produce, it's a big one to developing countries, even to developed countries. The only difference is that for the developed countries, they have very big farms that supply with traceable value chains and supply chains that supply their markets. But for us as developing countries, we have uh, small holders, which makes some people an indispensable part of the value chain and the supply chain. And their services are very important. For example, look at transportation service, very critical, because as you get those uh, smaller volumes of produce from different small holders, transportation becomes very critical. And so look at how many people, the number of people that are involved in processing and marketing, they are more than the other two the other two sectors of agribusiness. They are more than the input suppliers and the producers. Just like Madam Grace pointed out, that people can come in at processing level. Even if you don't have a farmland, you don't have large plants to process, you can still process. What of those women that do small level processing, and they will tell you that they have been able to feed their small families, they've been able to pay school fees that are not beyond reason, and all that and all that. So look at our own local environment. The women that process fufu, process gari, and you will see them in areas where that is what they do. And people come out with bags, kilograms and kilograms and tons of gari, of um cassava flour, of yam flour, and all that. Just look at it. So many people that are working on this. Then when you talk about processing as advantage to the farmer himself, like one friend was saying that he planted cassava, and there were problems with the larger portion of the farm. So what he now thought is, okay, since that is what happened, I'm going to process the rest of the cassava. So he quickly built a place to soak and to dry the cassava. And he said after he did that, he saved them for the less abundant season. And he said, funny enough, he was able to recover his cost from the little left. Why? Because of the value addition. So that was where he now thought, so if I had been adding value, I would have been better off. That it was in the and saving it till the less abundant time, the off-peak season, it brought so much profit to him. So processing is the way to go. The extent to which you should go, depending on your environment and your target market, is the question. That's the question. But processing is the way to go. Much more so because our production is weather driven. And so, which means once you are weather driven, it means that there will be peak, there will be off peak seasons. And so during the peak, there will be less produce will sell less. I mean, produce will command less price. And during the off peak, produce will command higher price. So in that wise, it means you can do either farm level processing or a greater level of processing and save until that time. So the extent of the processing will be determined by your own target market, the affordability of what you are bringing up from what you are processing. That is very, very critical. And looking at the cost, there is no way you can add value. So once you are a large processor and you are processing, you are adding great value to the produce to make it product. It means that they can last for quite a while. And once they can last for quite a while, you have competitors. So you have to apply the principles of marketing to know the type of market you are facing and the degree of freedom you have in terms of your piece. Your product, is it exactly the same? Is it a substitute? Is it a complement? and what kind of market are you facing. But I'm sure most of the time it will be a monopolistic competition where you have so many sellers and so many buyers, only that those sellers, they are differentiated, and that could be just by virtue of branding. So it now depends. If you fine tune, if you add value to fine tuning to the last point, it means that you have increased the shelf life. And once that is done, there are other competitors too. And your pricing, your product, your pricing, your place, your promotion, all those pieces will determine what will happen in the your market will determine what you will do with those pieces. So there's no way we can talk about processing if you want to talk about it in details. That will not talk about uh, marketing per se, because that's where it has gone into. So marketing principles will now help us to apply to it like other products that are coming from manufacturing sector. It will help us to look at it in that wise. And the degree of your processing will be determined by the type of market you are facing, the affordability of your target market. Or else, once you process beyond what they can afford, then you have wasted your value addition activities. Thank you, Madam Grace, for initiating that response, because your comment actually initiated. I don't usually pass so much comment in class. I like class members to pass comment, but your all embracing um, uh, points actually made me to pass so much comment like that. Thank you. Mr. Aaron, can we hear you? We didn't hear you the other time. Please unmute your mic. Mr. Aaron, please, can you hear me? Can he? Okay. Madam Doyin, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening, Ma, and good evening, my classmates. I want to thank Madam Olajide for that very insightful topic. Your topic is really, really very interesting and so germane to this our PhD class, International Agribusiness. So, just like our lecturer said, like even before she said it, I was thinking what really excites me most in your presentation, excited me most in your presentation was the 5 P's of processing, and it gave me a reminder about the 5 P's of marketing, which is place, products, price, and promotion. And I was looking forward to see how you were going to explain and give examples of the 5 P's. I was able to see them, and it really matched my expectations. You talked about people, you talked about process, product, plant, and planning. And I'm going to take just two out of those 5 P's, which is people, which constitutes the workforce, and the products also. Now, there was a particular study I did, a research work I did on youth participation in cassava value chain. And in that work, we wanted to see if youths are involved in one our actors along the value chain. And also in that research, we also made inquiries about the product of cassava, and that was when I knew that cassava has so many products that the youth can even go into. And I used to wonder, when we have graduates of agricultural, maybe economics, agricultural fields, and when you ask them later in life that what are you doing, they will tell you, I'm a makeup artist. Oh, I'm a this, I'm a that. And I used to wonder that you finish from an agricultural related course, and all you could think, I'm not saying that makeup artist or the likes is not a good business, but all you could think is that when we have so many agribusinesses that one can venture into. And like I said the other time, that product of cassava, we have the major product. In fact, recently, maybe like some 5 years ago, I also discovered another product that I'd never even eaten before. They call that product pupuru. They were just somebody came to sell it in my place of work,
Ondo
and
State.
yes, so somebody from Ondo State said, pupuru,
Hey,
I
you
must.
miss. You miss.
That
It's
was the first
powdery.
time I was, yes,
Yeah.
man. That was the first time I was hearing about it. And you know, the way the person from Ondo State said, please give me this so Congos. And that is what we are going to eat tonight. I was like, me, I don't like most solid foods. But the way he was just saying it, I was just like, see, let me also try this thing. Sincerely, when I got home with that thing and I prepared it, my husband was always asking for it. And we didn't even I didn't see the woman again to buy since then. I also liked it. So invariably, I was trying to say that we have so many products like gari, fufu in wet form, fufu in flour form, cassava flour, high quality cassava flour, cassava starch, cassava chips, ethanol, which they use for industrial purposes. Cassava also has byproducts, peels, cassava peels that can be used for animal feed. And recently, I met an animal scientist, and we clicked together, and we said we were going to collaborate and write a paper. And what she told me was that she wanted to replace. She's thinking of how one can replace cassava, no wood shavings for poultry droppings with dried cassava peels. And we are on discussion, and we are proposing on this research work already, and see how that can generate income. We have wastewater that can of this cassava processing that can be used for biogas. We have fibers. Even just on this, only this cassava alone, we have so many products that even if a youth chooses just one or two of the streams of processing, they can make a whole lot of things. And with that, we can begin to industrialize and to do so many things. Just like the presenter talked about so many big companies, Nestle, Zatec. That is how they started. They started in the line of processing. And at the end of the day, they have so many byproducts and they have so many products, which has made them to become what everybody knows them to be today. So, in summary, I just want to say that processing is very good. It's very good. It can help in engaging our youth. And for this cassava, they have similar processes: fermentation, peeling, grating, fermentation, drying, roasting, and all the likes. They have similar. So if a youth just decide to choose like one or two, I'm telling you, they will make it big. So that is
Mm.
the little contribution I have about that. Thank you, ma, and
It's
thank you,
it's
Madam
more than
Sam.
little. It's more than little. How can that be little? Actually, if we go into discussing processing, we'll go on and on and on and on. Sincerely, we'll go on and on and on. Okay, so that we'll not keep uh Madam Oluwaseyi, please always add your first name so that from the next class, always add your first name so that because that first name, for the woman is very
All
great.
right, ma'am.
So always add it
Okay.
so that we'll remember to refer to it. Let's give you uh 2 minutes to react to our comments so that we can go to the next presentation.
Okay, ma. I appreciate all the comments. Um, the last comment, the person that talked about people, we have a lot of opportunities under agricultural processing, opportunities that are yet untouched So,
Mm.
and I said it, that smallholders, processors, they are facing a lot of challenges. I talk about loan, no access to loan, no infrastructure. So a lot of youth out there, they are interested in practicing agricultural processing, but they don't have the access to loan. They don't have infrastructure, so they do not know how to start. Some do not know how to start. I think that is all I can say about that, ma.
All right. Thank you. Thank you for that presentation. And thank you for
Yes.
the discussion. Okay, can you stop sharing?
All right.
Mr. Ehaon, please unmute your mic. Let me know that.
Hello, madam. Good evening.
I called you twice. I didn't hear from you. Please, can you begin to share your slides?
Okay.
All right. Thank you. So we are going to go to the second presentation once it is shared. We are waiting for him to share.
Having challenges.
Oh, what is likely to be the challenge? Because we didn't prepare another presenter.
Pardon?
Though we have, is it that you will not be able to share?
I'm sorry, I can.
Okay, can we ask those two that have submitted if anyone can share now so that we can use the other half of the time? Mr. Theophilus, Mr. Azuko, can you share your slides? Can we go your way? Just say yes or no. Mr. Azuko, can we go your way? Please unmute your mic so that we know you.
Okay, ma. Yes, ma.
Please, let's see if you can
Even though
share.
I'm using my phone, so and not fully
Ah,
prepared, but
do you know that? Do you know that I use my phone for this class? I
oh, I
use phone.
prefer I prefer using my laptop, madam.
And now, because I know I use my phone for all activities.
Okay, so
All right.
let me share the screen
Let's
then.
hope. Yes, let's hope you share, or
Okay,
else we might come back to Madam Grace Olapegba.
okay,
Abi Olapeju, sorry.
okay. Let me initiate it.
All right. Okay. All right. We can. You already shared. Okay. You're on it now. Can you rotate your screen? You are not used to using phone. That's the issue. Do you know where to rotate your screen? If you do, we'll have it on the landscape and it will be full. Okay. Okay. All right. Fine. If you can keep this, it's now full. So it means we'll be talking about. You are fine now. You just scroll it up gradually as you are going. Is it okay? Mr. Azuko, is it okay by you? Hello? Mr. Azuko,
Hello, Mark. May I know if you can hear me?
yes, we
Okay.
can hear you. You
Okay.
shared, but now it's okay. Your
Okay.
screen is here now. So you
Okay.
just scroll up and you move ahead. So
Okay.
it means we'll be talking about innovative finance for
Yes, ma'am.
agribusiness development.
For
Please go ahead. You
agribusiness.
have 40 minutes.
All right, ma'am. So, good evening, class. The topic is innovative finance for agribusiness development. Then, my name is Theophilus Asuko. So, the introduction is agribusiness continues to be the foundation of many developing economies, supplying food, jobs, and raw materials for various industries. Nonetheless, a significant challenge confronting the sector is restricted access to funding. So when we talk about agri-finance, basically what we are talking about is money that is being needed to carry out agribusiness activities, basically funding. So it has been a major challenge. So conventional funding sources like commercial bank loans, government grants, and donor assistance have frequently been insufficient or unreachable for smaller holder farmers and agribusiness owners. This is just saying that basically what we've been depending on for as our source of finance for agribusiness is usually loans from local banks and also, but then today we are talking about innovative finance. So to close this gap, innovative financial mechanisms have surfaced as transformative instruments to mobilize capital, reduce risk, and boost productivity throughout agricultural value chains. So this image shows what it means for agribusiness. We have limited access, which is the major concern here, and then we are looking at ways to initiate innovative financing for agribusinesses. Then conventional funding sources, which have been the normal, and then the aim is to reduce risk and to boost productivity. So concept of innovative finance. Innovative finance denotes modern strategies, tools, and collaborations that utilize and allocate financial assets more effectively and sustainably compared to conventional techniques. In agribusiness, innovative finance refers to the creation and application of unique financial products and technologies. So what we are talking about here is normally, just like I said earlier, before now, depend on loans from commercial banks and all of that, but we're looking at innovative ways. How can we do things differently? Because commercial banks have not been sufficient so far. So how do we do things differently? How do we get finances from other sources in an innovative way? How do you create new ways to fund agribusinesses? So concept of innovative finance continued. Sorry, let me go back here. So innovative finance denotes modern strategies, tools, and collaborations that utilize and allocate financial assets more effectively and sustainably compared to conventional techniques. In agribusiness, innovative finance refers to the creation and application of unique financial products, technologies, and distribution models that enhance capital accessibility, lower transaction expenses, and distribute risk among participants. It integrates aspects of finance, technology, insurance, and policy innovation to enhance the growth and sustainability of agricultural business. So what are the drivers of innovative finance in agribusiness? Drivers of innovative finance in agribusiness. We have technological advancements. Technological advancements. Digital platforms such as mobile banking and fintech solutions have enabled farmers to access credit, insurance, and payments conveniently. So another driver is climate change and risk exposure. Increased climate risk have driven the need for innovative risk management tools, such as index-based insurance and green financing. So I want to talk on this technological advancement. You know, before now, whenever we needed money, we go to the bank. When we needed cash before now, we do go to the bank, stand on the counter, collect cash. That was like the only way we got money before now. However, by reason of technology, we are now able, and then farmers also, even the ones in the hinterlands, are able to access funds through digital means, such as the POS, which is the most common, and even using of USSD codes and all of that to effect transfers from our banks. So that's a driver of innovative finance. Then climate change. Increased climate change risks have driven the need for innovative risk management tools, such as index-based insurance and green financing. So for this, we have something called a carbon exchange now. There are companies that, there are donors, so to say, that fund agribusinesses that particularly are doing things that will reduce the climate change exposure or the greenhouse emissions and all. So there are donors now that encourage agribusinesses like that. They do that by giving of grants, and sometimes they give startup capitals as well. So public-private partnerships. This is talking about collaboration between government and private investors and also development agencies. This encourages co-investment and risk sharing. So financial inclusion goals. Efforts to integrate rural and smallholder farmers into the formal financial system, promote in service delivery. Then shift toward impact investment. Investors increasingly seek opportunities that yield both financial returns and social/environmental benefits. So just like I said about investors that do not just fund agribusinesses, but then they fund businesses that are environmentally friendly, not just for profit. Key innovative finance instruments. Number one, we have the agricultural value chain financing. This model links financing to various stages of agricultural value chain, from input supply to processing and marketing. Example, a processor may guarantee farmers loans in exchange for assured produce supply, thus reducing default risk. So an example of this also in real life is where we have people that like agencies or companies that involve farmers in the production or the processing of a particular product, and then they give in some cases they bring machines, and then in return they take the produce or the product depending on the agreement. So this is also a way to fund agribusiness. Then we have blended finance. Blended finance combines concessional funds from donors or governments with commercial capital to lower investment risk in agribusiness. So by blended finance, we are talking about two or more sources of finance, two or more sources of funds to engineer an agribusiness. So an example is a development bank may provide a first loss guarantee to encourage private banks to lend to agribusiness SMEs. So a development bank, for example, like the Africa Development Bank, may partner with our local banks here in Nigeria, and then they may decide, or the Bank of Agriculture, to say, okay, we can give loans to encourage them to give out loans. We know how agribusinesses are when it comes to loans. The commercial banks, it's usually very risky for commercial banks to issue out loans. So in this case, through the blended finance, a development bank may partner with a commercial bank to ensure that loans or funds are being granted to small and medium enterprises within the agribusiness sector. So we have crowdfunding and peer-to-peer lending. So we have online crowdfunding platforms enable individuals and institutions invest directly in agricultural ventures. So platforms like FarmCrowdy and Thrive Agric in Nigeria link investors to farmers, providing capital for production and profit sharing upon harvest. This is simply telling us about you have an idea, you have a business idea, you have the farmers, and then you can seek investment opportunities through crowdfunding by getting funds from different individuals. However, accountability has to be in place in this case. So we have microfinance and cooperative financing. Microfinance institutions and cooperatives provide small loans, savings, and insurance services tailored to the needs of rural farmers. This is another way to fund agribusiness. It's an innovative way to finance agribusiness development as well. So we have digital and mobile-based financial services. Mobile money platforms such as M-Pesa in Kenya or Paga in Nigeria enable farmers to receive payments and then pay suppliers and access microloans conveniently. This is almost the same service like MoneyPoint and OPay offers here in Nigeria. Just giving you giving farmers, even in the rural communities, easy access to finance. So we have warehouse receipt systems. This innovation allows farmers to use stored commodities as collateral for loans. It reduces post-harvest losses and ensures liquidity between harvest and sales. Examples, farmers deposit grains in certified warehouses and receive receipts that can be exchanged for credit. So in this case, farmers may cultivate and then they may be in need of money to go into the next season's harvest. However, they have grains on ground and they may decide to keep their grains as collateral in a certified warehouse. And then after the harvest, depending on the agreement, they refund whether in cash or they refund in products or agricultural produce. So benefits of innovative finance for agribusiness. What are the benefits of innovative finance for agribusiness? One is improved access to capital. Farmers and agribusinesses can access funds that traditional banks might not provide. So normally commercial banks, because of the risky nature of agriculture, they hold back when it comes to funding agribusinesses. So, but then innovative finance enables agribusinesses to have funds to carry out their different agribusiness activities. Then we have risk mitigation. Insurance and blended finance mechanisms reduce the risk associated with farming and investment. This we can see in what NISRAL is doing. It's a subsidiary of the CBN. So their job is to reduce risk in agricultural production, and then they insure agribusinesses. Basically, that's what they do. So, and then you can say it mitigates the risk of agribusinesses. So, and then we have enhanced productivity. Access to finance enables investment in improved seeds, equipment, and technologies. Access to finance enables investment in improved seeds, equipment, and technologies. So when a farmer has access to finance, he will definitely go for the best agri inputs so as to get a profitable outcome or output. For instance, if someone is being given good money, he can consider the best seeds or vegetables or whatever crops he or she needs to plant. And then we all know that a good seed when planted and then good agronomic practices are being followed will definitely yield to good harvest. And then we have the continuation here, financial inclusion. Digital finance tools integrate rural farmers into formal financial systems. Digital finance tools integrate rural farmers into formal financial systems. We just like we talked about the major digital tools that are being used for now in the rural areas, for instance, is the OPay and all of that, the Money Point, and then in some cases the USSD for banks. So it helps rural farmers to engage in agribusiness. Economic growth and job creation. Agribusiness investment stimulates rural development and employment. Agribusiness investment stimulates rural development and employment. So when you talk about an unemployment rate in Nigeria, one of our colleagues talked about agri graduates engaging in other jobs, and the sad reality is in some cases you find out that there are graduates that are there not even engaging in the makeup business or whatsoever business at all. So, but then their problem may be that they have the ideas, but then they may not have the finance. So it's innovative finance. It creates jobs. Then we go to the next one, sustainability and climate resilience. Green and climate smart financing promotes sustainable agricultural practices. So like I said earlier, some donors insist that you engage in an agribusiness activity that reduces greenhouse gas emissions and all. So all of this is in agreement to the UNDP sustainable goals, and then it enables sustainable agricultural practices. So what are the challenges of implementing this innovative finance for agribusiness development? So we have inadequate digital infrastructure in rural areas. you'll agree with me that there are areas still in Nigeria and in some African countries where there may not be network access, like telecommunications network access. So that can be that can be a challenge. And then we have high perceived risk by investors and financial institutions. So even though the commercial banks are the ones that we've always known that are scared of giving out loans, other people are also not fully aligned to give out loans, agricultural loans to agribusinesses because of the risky nature and the uncertainty. So we have limited financial literacy among farmers. So this is a major problem, limited literacy among farmers. These are the major players in the agribusiness sector, especially in the production. However, most of them are not so literate when it comes to financial literacy and the use of technology and all. So this is also a problem. Then we have regulatory policy and bottlenecks that hinder innovation. This can be related to the government, the inconsistent policies. Sometimes they say this is what they want. They want, for instance, the production of rice, close the borders and all, produce rice and all. And then the next thing, they are opening the border. So that also can be a problem. So we have data security, making it difficult to assess creditworthiness or monitor impact. So you may not get data, correct data of the people that you need to support or to give out loans or to fund their businesses or to assess their creditworthiness. So this is a very big challenge. So we have strategies to enhance innovative finance for agribusiness. So number one is strengthening public-private collaboration. Governments can create enabling environments through policy reforms and credit guarantees. Then this is simply talking about PPP, public-private partnership, where the government partners with other players in the agribusiness sector to even in terms of policy making and all of that. In this way, by so doing, is a nice strategy to adopt for agribusiness development. So we have capacity building and financial literacy. We've identified financial literacy already as a problem in most farmers. So if we're able to build capacity among these farmers and then to educate them more on financial literacy, then we'll go a long way in solving the problem of finance in agribusiness development. And this can be done when the farmers are being made to be in like cooperative organizations. It is easier to educate them. So farmers and agripreneurs should be trained in financial management and digital tools. Then we have investment in ICT infrastructure. So expanding internet access in rural areas enhances digital finance uptake. Like I said earlier, in some areas, they do not even have the common 3G or 2G just for making of calls. They do not even have such network, not to talk of data network that will enable them have access to this digital finance we're talking about. And then we have another point, establishing credit bureau and data systems. So reliable data improves risk assessment and lending decisions. Reliable data improves risk assessment and lending decisions. This is almost similar to the point raised above in the one that talks about one of the problems, which is assessing their credit worthiness and all of that. So if we're able to get data reliable data to improve our risk assessment and then lending decisions. You'll be able to know that, okay, this particular farmer or these farmers from this particular axis or farmers that are into this particular agricultural sector or if this particular value chain are credit worthy and all of that. So it can influence our decisions. Then we have supporting inclusive fintech ecosystems, encouraging agri-tech startups and incubators, foster innovation. So we go to the case examples. The case examples in Nigeria, we have Thrive Agric and Farm Crowdy. So these two use crowdfunding and data-driven models to finance farmers while ensuring accountability. So most of us know about Thrive Agric and Farm Crowdy. These two companies do almost the same thing. They are basically into production of crops, and then they have the like Farm Crowdy, for instance, is in over 15 states, if I'm not mistaken, in Nigeria. So they have their footprints almost everywhere in the country. Thrive Agric, I know for sure, has its footprints mostly in the northwestern part of Nigeria. So this is what they use, crowdfunding. That is what they use. Then we have in Kenya, we have Agric. So since this is international agribusiness, we are considering how other countries do their own business. How do they fund? So in Kenya, we have Agric and DigiFarm. DigiFarm integrate mobile banking, then input access and market linkages for farmers. In India, we have Samunati. It uses value chain financing to provide customized credit and insurance products. So for our case examples, for Thrive Agric, we have debt financing. Thrive Agric raised $56.4 million in debt financing from a mix of local commercial banks and institutional investors in the year 2022. So still under Thrive Agric, we have grant funding. The company received a $1.75 million co-investment grant from USAID, funded West Africa Trade and Investment Hub. So this previous funding, Thrive Agric had also raised $9 million in 2020. And then we have institutional investors. The company has secured funding from various institutional investors, including Y Combinator, Launchpad Accelerator, and Inclusive FinTech 50. So all of these are methods of innovative ways in which Farm Crowdy, which is a company in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa actually, got funding. So they got funding through institutional, they got funding earlier on in 2020. They got funding through institutional investors, and also in March of 2017 and March of 2019, they all got funding. So all of this is getting funding from different sources, like a blended way. So they got funding from different sources and in different amounts per time. So we move on to the next case study. Sorry. Earlier on I was talking about Thrive Agric. So now on to Farm Crowdy. So Farm Crowdy raised $1 million in seed funding from investors, including Cox Enterprises, Techstars, and others. This was in 2017. And in 2019, it announced an additional $1 million seed round from international investors, Cox Enterprises and Techstars, and local investor Ajayi Solutions. In late 2020, it announced a total of $15 million in funding to finance 25,000 farmers. They also got $1 million later stage venture capital deal That was in 2021. And then total funding by late 2020, the total funding raised was reported to be $3.4 million. And then Farm Crowdy also got grant funding. The company also received a $325,000 grant from GSMA Ecosystem Accelerator Innovation Fund in 2018. So this is just listing out the different innovative ways in which Farm Crowdy raised funds, from seed capital to venture capital to different sources like the grant funding and all of that. So it's an agribusiness in Nigeria and in other parts of Africa. So we have Agric, which is in Kenya. Their key funding, they got grants, non-repayable funds, often provided by governments, foundations, and international agencies for specific projects or research. So loans and credit also, these were, for loans and credit, they are repayable. And then depending on the agreement and the repayment plan. So Agric also engaged in equity financing, investment, which is investment in exchange for a share of the business, common for startups and scalable ventures. So in conclusion, innovative finance is completely changing the agribusiness scene by increasing access to financing, reducing risk and fostering sustainability by combining financial engineering, technical innovation, and inclusive business models. It fills in long-standing funding shortages that impede the expansion of agriculture. Governments, investors, and development organizations must work together to create inclusive and robust financial ecosystems in order to scale up these solutions for developing countries. In the end, creative finance supports food security, rural livelihoods, and economic development in addition to agribusiness expansion. So below are my references. You may wish to go through them. And then thank you for listening.
Thank you, Mr. Asuko. Thank you very much. Okay, so let's come to colleagues. Let's interact with him. He has shown us information. He has given us information. He has shown us case studies in this innovative financing agribusiness. So let's interact with him. Okay. Please unmute your microphone to interact with him. Hello. Okay, Madam Doyin, please go ahead.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Asuko, for that beautiful presentation. It was a good one. I like the fact that you were able to distinctively express the difference between the conventional agricultural financing, agribusiness financing, and the advanced ones. You gave examples of the conventional ones, such as commercial banks, microfinance banks, local lendings, and the likes. And it was a good one. Then you took us through the advanced financial services. But my fear here is that for farmers, we all know that most of these farmers have very low level of literacy. And my fear is that how do we make it inclusive? Because towards the conclusion of your presentation, you said we have to work such that it will be an inclusive invention. And I'm so afraid that how do we make all this, because they are high techs, most of them are high techs, and these farmers, they can barely even read or write, except for educated farmers. How do we make it to the small scale farmers, small scale um, agribusiness owners. That is one of my fears. Then another one is that I want to ask that have you, if you have come across anything like the Lion's Den. I came across it sometimes, and it's just like a group of investors, fierce looking investors. All they do is that they create an avenue for uh, entrepreneurs or agribusiness owner, whatsoever your intentions could be in investment. You come before them and you will pitch as an entrepreneur. You pitch whatever you have for them, pitching like advertising, or like you tell them about the business idea, the problem it solves, the target market, the revenue model, and how much money you want to be invested. If the your pitching looks appealing to those investors, the lions in the lions den, then they will accept the investment, and they will tell you the percentage of the money they would like to invest into that enterprise or into that agribusiness. In as much as they see that it is feasible, they will invest into it, and it's a win-win on both sides. I don't know if, and I see it as another advanced form of financing to enterprises or agribusinesses. Thank you. It's in form of contribution and question.
Thank you. Yes. Thank you, Madam Dewey. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. The lion's den. So the men are the lions. So if anybody is able to enter into the den, they are then able to defend the proposal about the investment. It will actually get the investment. Madam, please go ahead. Um, uh, Mr. Zuko, please take note of that part. Then we can all contribute as well to even the point that Madam Dunya is raising concerning the small scale farmers. Madam Grace, please go ahead.
Uh, okay. So, thank you so much, Mr. Azuko, for your detailed presentation. It's quite informative. Um, I think my contribution is in line with, can I call it a case study or just from experience too? So there is this, a mini person. Okay, so there is this another financing model. I don't know whether there is a name put to it, but I think it's also a kind of backward integration system in which a company that needs a particular product will finance the producer and then buy it back from them. It's as simple as that. There is a practical example of a processing company that processes poultry products, chicken. So the company has capacity of producing 8,000 chicken every day. So they are always in need of poultry products, fresh chicken. They buy average weight of 1.8 to 2 kg chickens. So most of the time, there was a time, not really most of the time, that they work with some group of youth. They bought day chicks for them. They bought the field. And what the youths have to do, because they have been trained in poultry production, but they do not have money to start their business on their own. So by partnering with a company, they produce chicken for the company. So when the chicken matured, they then buy it back from them, kind of. So it's a win-win for both the company and also the youth. That one is in Abuja. Then there's another one in DR Congo, an organization called BAIC. So what BAIC does is that they will train farmer and give them inputs. like quality seeds and some other product that they need. So the farmer will then grow the crop. At harvest, they pay back the company with produce. And that produce is again recycled to other group of farmers. So they encourage farmer to make use of their product. If they have land, they train them and then give them those inputs and other necessary tools that they required. But the farmer then pay back with produce at harvest. That is practiced in Congo and I think some other area of Guinea-Bissau. There's another arrangement like that that works. Then you also made mention of public-private partnership, and I know that in the time, I think 2022, 2023, there was a partnership between the Youth in Agribusiness of IITA and FCMB. So FCMB, they don't want to, just as you made mention in your presentation, they don't want to give loan, but they route the loan through the units in such a way that they give the unit the money. The unit will first of all train the youth, send the youth to the bank, and through the training, the youth were able to access the money, which they now gradually pay back to the bank through with little interest. So through the partnership with the IITA in that youth in agribusiness office, the youth were able to get some kind of leverages to access the money. And so that is also how public-private partnership works in terms of innovative financing. But the two examples I gave earlier, I don't know if there is a name that's fitting to hit in your presentation, but I've seen that works. Then another one that I know, Madam Doing asked a question about how accessible is this to local farmer that are not too literate, that cannot
Small scale
really use the
farmers.
internet. Yes. So I think that is also where the public-private partnership comes in. You can identify an organization that is into capacity building, then work with them. They then extend this to the farmers in the local community. They can assist them in the application or they can train them in such a way that they will be able to apply. Then in terms of financing, another thing you also made mention of agricultural value chain, something. I know you were supposed to clarify that. So how how I've seen that one works is you have a product, but I have the market. So I come to you, take your product from you, supply to the market, get the money, pay you back, take my own profit. So that's also work. There is this network of youths that are also into catfish production. So what they do is that they identify big restaurants that buy. There is this restaurant in Abuja called Jeff Nicks. They have different outlets, and they are able to buy about 1,000 kg of fishes every week. So what this network of youth does is they move around to local farms where there are farmers that produce catfish. They buy this catfish from the farmer. They can take everything from your pond, then supply to the restaurant. The restaurant pay in bulk. Most time, let's say the prevailing market rate is 3,000 per kg. They were able to negotiate in such a way that the restaurant pay about 3,400 and 3,500 per kg. So they pay you, the farmer, the prevailing 3,000 per kg, and the remaining gain on it
The
is their
prevailing price. Wonderful.
exactly is their own profit. So these are the
Great.
different ways of innovative financing that is really practical among our youth. Thank you. That's my contribution.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Madam Dunya, Madam Grace. Thank you. Miss Azuko, let's listen to you briefly first. Yes. Make your contribution to what they have said. There are some that are just information. Some part of the discussion, they are just information. Okay, so Mr. Azuko, let's go.
All right. Thank you, Madam. And thank you, Madam Doyin and Madam Grace, for your contribution and your question. So let me start with Madam Doyin's question, which is about inclusion, how to bring on board the small scale farmers. So whatever we do in Nigeria that has to relate with small scale farmers, first of all, it has to do with capacity building. I think Madam Grace touched a little on it. It has to do with capacity building. So we have to educate these farmers on these financial platforms and how to access this financial support or funding for their agribusiness, and then to educate them on the terms and conditions. So, but you may not be able to achieve anything dealing with small scale holder farmers in Nigeria if they are not in a unit like a cooperative organization. So oftentimes it is advised to get them in clusters, and then have someone like the village head or whoever that will stand as a guarantor for them, educate them, and then empower them in any way you can. So even though we know the Anchor Borrowers program was something similar, even though it failed for one or two reasons. So, but then we'll keep trying. So that's it for that. And then for what the second thing she talked about, the lions, then yes, I did not include it. I have watched the program once or twice where great minds come on board with great ideas to make pitch on whatever if they have an agribusiness proposal, and then they get funding if uh they are able to convince the investors. And then in most cases, they don't just get the funding, they also get mentorship opportunities and people that will follow up and monitor and evaluate the business as well. So thank you for that, Madam Doing. And then on to Madam Grace, what you were talking about, the buyback, all of the thing. The name I know they call it is a outgrower program, basically, whereby someone funds, or a company or government, depending on the funder or the donor, funds a particular business with the intention to buy whatsoever you have produced at a particular price, or based on agreement that okay, we'll buy at a particular at the prevailing market price during at harvest or at maturity, depending on whether crop or and your livestock. So for there are companies in Nigeria that are into that already. I see it also as a fund of innovative funding for agriculture. It's a good one. We have Nat Noodle. I don't know if you know Nat Noodle. It's a company I know about them in Akwa Ibom State. They support you to grow poultry birds, chicken especially. When you grow chicken to maybe 5 weeks, they monitor the process, they monitor the vaccine, the feeding, and all of that for all your farms, and then they buy back all your chicken at 5 weeks or 6 weeks, depending on your agreement, and they give you a particular price. So for that's for poultry, and then for outgrowers for crops, we have Flour Mills Association of Nigeria, which is they're in partnership with most northwestern states in Nigeria to produce. They give input such as pesticides and wheat seeds to farmers, and then they have an agreement. We're giving you this wheat seeds, and then in return, let's assume they give you 90,000 naira worth of input. So they now take out their 90,000 at harvest from the bags of wheat you must have produced at the end of the season, and then they calculate how many bags you are able to produce, and then they pay you according to the market price or the agreed price at that time. So I think with this I have answered your questions.
Yes, those discussion, those points were great, and there are different names given to these programs, like the thin line of difference between anchor borrowers and the outgrower. For the anchor borrower, the anchor will be a large processor, and that processor will serve as the anchor for those. It could be anyone serving as anchor to those that will produce. So they try to monitor them, give finance all their activities. So at harvest, the anchor buys all and take away the costs of production and pay them the balance as their own take home from there. So what is good about that is that the risk is minimal. But when you now talk about small scale farmers, the issue now comes up with the reliability of the people themselves. How reliable are they that at harvest they will not side sell or they will not divert? So that's where some other principles come in, that you can use them as clusters. Even the fact that they were not so educated, you can use them as clusters. Like I think Madam Grace said that you can get supervisors among them, like people among them. You have them in clusters so that they're able to come together to do it. And so it is actually a bit difficult for any of them to side sell or to divert their produce from there. Now, at times we call it uh, agricultural suppliers development, that the large processor will sponsor the producers. Those are the suppliers, those that will supply them their own their produce as raw materials for the large processor. So they monitor them, they they supply them extension services so as to ensure that they're able to come up with the right quality of produce that are required. So they do them so that by that you're able to assure that their produce will come to you. So all these are innovative ways of doing them. Then the first one that Madam Grace described, we'll go back to value chain. That is, there are different ways of going about it. Not that they actually do backward integration, rather than going to the farm themselves. They bring these farmers together and then sponsor them on production. So at harvest time, the produce come to them to buy. Then we can call it the anchor borrowers, like you said. The anchor borrowers program was to finance everything that they would do. So when you sell, the money for the production is removed, the cost of production, and you have the rest. And that way, I really hope we know that all this that we have described, they are also helping to manage risk for these farmers. You know, you that way market risk is removed, because you are no longer thinking about market access. You already have a large processor, an anchor that will uptake everything from you. If it's an outgrower, you already have um those that will uptake from you. So you can go back and be talking about forward contract. You can talk about all those ways. There are thin lines between them, depending on the way they're operationalized. But one thing is important: this innovative financing, they also embed risk management, by which if you are financed by someone that will take up your produce, then you have overcome both market risk, you have overcome finance risk, even production risk in a way, because they will oversee your activities. Once anyone can oversee your activities to make sure that you are raised up to standard, then there are some other large processes too, like Sotri in Oyo State here. There was a time she was interviewed. One of the first things she did was to make the farmers have self acknowledgements of knowing who they are, so that through that, educating them, that organization was able to introduce them to the bank. So they had consistent recognition of themselves. So by that, they were able to go through the bank. They were able to secure loans and all that and all that. So they are all good ways by which they have been done. Though people still want to side sell, because like Madam Grace said, Madam Doyin said, there have been researches into all this, and there are ways. One of the ways to stop side selling is to cluster the farmers together as a group, so that by that you can have a loyalty reward for those that are actually loyal. So they will compete among themselves once they know they have a ready-made market for their produce. It has been contract farming. Thank you, Madam Doing. Contract farming. We have many of these things that we discussed in one of the MBA courses. That's agribusiness risk management, which are anchor. They also talked about uh, um, this where you get warehouse receipt system is one of major major risk management tool, one of the major tools that are used where they are available. Warehouse receipt system, you're able to keep I enjoy that part when it was explained. The farmer is able to keep the grains in the warehouse, collect a receipt that can serve as collateral. So the farmer doesn't need to compulsorily sell off during the peak season. He can save them, so he can get the receipt as collateral, secure loan at that time. So when the time comes to sell it, the loan will be removed, the farmer's money will be paid, and the bank's money will be paid back. Thank you for the presentation. Then let me say thank you to Mr. Azuko. I actually didn't want to call Madam Grace first because Mr. Azuko submitted before her. That was why I called on her. So let's hope that it's like Mr. Aaron has serious network issues because he has been on and off. I hope he will be fine by next week so that he and Madam Grace can present next week. But Madam Grace, prepare. I'm going to put him first, but prepare that in case he couldn't confess, then you confess. Thank you very much for the discussion today. Though we are not so many, but the discussions were great. Madam Ozezele, prepare to give comments next week because I think the contributions were long. Okay, Madam Ozezele, can we hear one thing from you? Yes. Please go ahead. Unmute your mic in 1 minute. Let's hear from you.
Good evening, ma. Good evening, colleagues.
Good evening. Oh, you have background noise. It's okay.
Yes, ma. I have some background noise here, so that's why it seems like I've not contributed. My children are writing exams actually, so we've been doing a bit of
and so
revision.
People are reading. Wow.
Yes, ma. But I'm still flowing in some kind of way.
All right.
Yes,
all
ma.
right. All the best to them and to us
Thank
too.
you very much, ma.
Thank you.
Yes,
All right. At this point, we'll say good night. We'll meet again on our course page. And please continue to, apart from our normal understanding in class, we should also remember that we are going to write exams at the end of the semester. So continue to take notes as we are discussing. And I know that everything will pay off well at the end of the semester. So thank you very much for attending the class today. Please let's make it a point of duty to come to class early. God bless you. Good night to our families.
Thank you, ma. Good night, ma.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Thank you,
Thank you,
ma.
Good night, ma. Thank you,
Good night.
ma.
God bless you. Thank you. Thank you.